Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Fortnite tips and tricks video. In today's video, I have some awesome tips and strategies you guys can use to get yourself more solo wins based off playing a passive versus aggressive and making smart decisions. If you guys could smack a like in this video, I'd really appreciate that. Let's go for 805 likes. That would be absolutely amazing if you guys could smash that. We just recently hit 300,000 subscribers and I'm so grateful for all the support. Thank you to everyone new subscribing, liking, commenting. It means the absolute world to me. Before we get into today's video, I actually do have a really cool headset sponsor, so I'm going to show you guys that and then we'll get right into the tips. Today's sponsor is Massdrop, and more specifically the Massdrop Sennheiser PC37X gaming headset. Now this headset is actually really amazing. Basically Massdrop collects input from the fans and works directly with companies on products like they did with Sennheiser for this quality headset. You can hear enemies and surroundings more clearly with the open back design and high quality drivers. Really does give you huge advantages in Fortnite when you can hear enemies coming from a distance. Also has the sturdy noise canceling microphone designed for high volume and low distance recording. One of the cool features about the mic is you can simply just move it up and down to activate it on and off, and you should go over to massdrop.com. Massdrop is one of the coolest websites because they only sell products that the community votes on. They take community feedback, input, and collaborate with manufacturers to make the best products. They sent me this headset. It is really awesome and I recommend you guys should check it out. Link down in the description. Go over there, check out some of the products, and definitely a quality headset right here. Alright, what is up guys? It's the Goblin. Time for the tips and tricks. So today's video is going to be focused more onto how to get solo wins and the main question of when to play passive versus when to play aggressive, because in a lot of points it comes down to what type of player you are. A lot of players will play more passive, land on the outside and work their way in, sort of avoid fights and go for that victory royale, or other players more like myself, or I play a bit of both strategies a lot of the times, but a lot of the gameplays you'll see I go tilted towers, I clean up tilted, and then I move my way throughout, following with the zone and killing people on that way. So I want to talk about how to get some more solo wins, focusing on playing passive versus aggressive. Now my first tip, and something that's been happening to me a lot recently, I've been sort of analyzing why I die in certain situations in solos, and this is the number one tip for anything, is analyze your mistakes. Analyze why you die, even if the guy got a BS headshot on you or a lucky shot. Analyze why were you in that situation and what you could have done differently. And that's what I've been doing a lot lately on all of my games. Whenever I'm just playing naturally, whenever I'm playing on stream or anything, I analyze why I die when I die. And the main reason I've been dying lately is because of third parties, or I kill a guy in a 1v1 and then another player comes in from the other side and I'm not isolating my fights well enough. And what I mean by isolating fights is making sure that your solo match and your path to victory royale is a bunch of 1v1s that you are winning comparatively to 1v5 when you kill a guy, another guy pushes you. And that can happen a lot in solos. That's one of the things that happens very commonly, is you won't find anyone for 5 minutes, and then once you start shooting and start getting into a build battle or a gunfight with a player, 3 more players will come and show up, and that's what I like to call the third parties, or even fourth or fifth parties showing up into fights. So you need to isolate 1v1s, and by doing this is you either need to win your gunfights fast, prepare and cover yourself for other people to potentially show up, or realize the area that you're in and how likely it is that other players are going to show up. If I'm fighting a guy right at the beginning of the match in tilted towers, more than likely there is going to be a player showing up. If I'm fighting a guy with 10 people left in Lonely Lodge and the safe zone is still big, most likely that is a 1v1. You want to do your best with building and positioning to isolate yourself into 1v1 positions, and always be paying attention and listening for that third party to join the fights. Sometimes you'll hear them joining the fight with a sniper shot across the map. That killed me today. I was having a huge build battle with a bunch of people and then I just got randomly hit with a sniper shot across the map. Listen for those sniper shots and plan accordingly. Sometimes you'll hear them joined by a third gunfire, a different gun sound, maybe building up. And I do think that audio quality is very important, and making sure that whatever you use, if you use a nice headset like I was promoting in this video, if you use just iPhone earbuds, whatever you use, you have to make sure that sound is your number one priority and that you are being smart with that and isolating your 1v1s. You can't control where other people on the map go, but you can control how covered you are and try to make those your game a series of 1v1s instead of a bunch of different fights. Other tips to do this is that you need to be on the other side of this, is you have to be third party partying into fights, and that's on the aggressive side. That's on the defensive side. When you're fighting a guy, make sure you try to keep it to a 1v1. When you're playing aggressively, you want to join when two people are fighting. You show in for that third party for multiple reasons. First reason is more than likely one or both parties are weak, and when they're weak and you're coming in with whatever 150, 200 health, you have that huge advantage. Secondly, they're going to be distracted, very, very distracted when they're fighting each other. You can come in and get a free, easy 1 or 2 kills. And thirdly, there's so many different great reasons to third party. The third great reason is when you show up late, you get both their loot, and double their loot, it could get you prepared for the whole entire game. And that's why sometimes, even if you're a passive player, if you see two people fighting and their fight's been going on for a while, you hear shotgun shots, that's a great sign that they're really up close and doing personal damage to each other. Rush in there and try to make that fight count. You know, if they're shooting ARs, they're probably hitting each other a couple times. If they're shooting shotguns, the fight is on, and it's your time to join in and third party. Even if you are a passive player, that's the time, and there's certain chances in a game where you have to turn on those jets, go aggressive, and make sure that you can make that fight count, because that loot and materials could be what you need to carry yourself through the rest of the game. Now, back again on the other side of things, you know, that's sort of third party and isolating your fights on defense and offense. Next is that you need to learn how to buy time and how to escape with building. And escaping can be very smart. Sometimes things just get absolutely hectic where there's 3 or 4 people fighting in a solo. They're all beside the edge of the safe zone. There's the storms coming in, and you know, just a bunch of things can get hectic, and you have to learn how to buy time. Now, ways to buy time is either to build straight up, get above everyone, and then be looking down on them, to box yourself in on a medium or low level and possibly use your heals, or to just get out of the situation totally. Now, the best ways to get out of the situation are either to build as you're moving away from them, and sometimes you'll have to do that. You have to disengage or re-engage at a distance. A lot of people will say, why are you running from the fight? Why are you running from the fight? But sometimes based on the storm, you're not running from the fight, you're basically delaying the fight, and then you're going to take them on when you have the advantage. That's a very, very smart play. Other ways to escape are, of course, jump pads, which are very risky nowadays, because I find that if it's a good player, they will just follow you on the jump pad, and then your fight will just continue somewhere else, which has happened to me a bunch of times. I've had people, especially in blitz mode when it was in, because the jump pads are so more prevalent, like people would just follow me on that and use that all the time. And then the new thing, which I have to get better at, and I'm not very good at either because it is kind of new, is bounce pads. The fact that you can put these bounce pads, like every game you'll probably have a good amount of bounce pads, and the fact that you can put them on anything, ramps, surfaces, whatever, and bounce off them and take no fall damage. I think the best play with the bounce pads is to go bounce pad off of a wall and just get off of a mountain or get out of somewhere. Usually I would say I wouldn't like to go up on mountains unless I had a jump pad, but now it's probably a lot more safe because jump pads are kind of hard to come by unless you are playing in blitz or whatever, or in some sort of game mode like that. But bounce pads are fairly common. You probably have quite a few every game, and that's something that I personally need to get better at practicing with, and I suggest you guys do as well. And that's basically tips on how you can play passive versus aggressive. Now, when it comes down to the late game, positioning is a major key. Now, playing off the safe zone, sometimes you can predict which way the safe zone is going to go. Of course, the one thing we know about the safe zone every single time is it's going to create a smaller circle within that circle. So most of the time, if you want to play your odds correctly, moving towards more towards the center of the circle, and this is more for late game, how to convert on these wins once you've used these tips and they've got you to that late game point, whether you have 10 kills, whether you have 2 kills, it all comes down to late game, and your ability to convert or secure those wins is what matters in terms of getting more solo wins. So if you want to play your odds, moving more towards the center of the circle will make you a little more vulnerable, but also a little more safe considering you don't have to move. And a lot of it does come down to luck on the final safe zone. If it ends up on a mountain, and players already have bases up there, it's very, very difficult to win. If it ends in the middle of Loot Lake and you're pushing from the edge, it's a very difficult spot to win. But most of the time, the safe zone is fairly fair. And that's why you want to build up. You want to rotate early. You don't want to build your 1x1 next to a mountain area or anything with like a hill, because for that reason players will have the natural height advantage on you. And of course, natural height advantage is a lot better than built height advantage or manual height advantage, because of the fact that you can't shoot down a mountain, but you can easily shoot down a 1x1, and that of course limits how high you can build up if you are concerned about fall damage, which you should always be, especially since jetpacks aren't in the game anymore. That was something that was sort of like a get around and countered building and stuff like that. That's why a lot of players hated that, and that was nerfed. But that's what matters, is positioning late, and still third partying people is probably the major key for solos. If you're in that top position, if there's 5 people left and you hear a couple people shooting their guns, get over there, because you're going to, most likely whoever wins that fight is going to have a lot of loot, a lot of supplies, probably some grenade launchers, probably a bunch of heals, and you're going to want to get over there and join that fight when you have a chance. I see a lot of people play it way too safe, and then when it comes down to it, they're in a 1v1 and they're on the ground hiding in a hut, while the other person has unlimited everything, full shield, full everything up in a base, and at that point you don't really have any chance. So know when to play safe and when to disengage, and know when it's your chance to take advantage of the situation. You can do that mostly by audio cues, by listening, and especially by playing the game more and more and just learning. Here you can see the last guy just dies to the storm, or blows himself up, or hit by, I think I got hit by a trap below me, something like that. Anyway guys, I was able to get the win using a bunch of these tips. I played safe when I had to, and then I used my building to play aggressive when I had to. Thanks for watching guys. Smack like this video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Have a great night, and I'm out. Peace.